Awesome. Hi everyone, Panos here, co-founder of PNOE, and today with me I have Vladimir, who is calling in from the UAE. Is that right?
Yeah, that's completely right.
Awesome. Yeah, amazing to have you here, Vladimir. Vladimir is a valued PNOE affiliate who has been with us for quite some time now, and he is utilizing PNOE in a very interesting way that we thought would be very cool to open it up to a lot of you guys out there. Those who are looking to potentially buy a device and trying to figure out whether the device can fit their application, and obviously open it up to those who are already using PNOE device and are potentially looking for other use cases of how they can use breath analysis in order to understand their client's physiology better and ultimately deliver better outcomes. Um, we have quite a few people here joining, so that's exciting. Everything is recorded, so you will be able to find this conversation on YouTube. So if you know anyone who wasn't able to join or anyone who may be interested, you can obviously share the YouTube link afterwards. But without further ado, Vladimir, welcome again. Thank you so much for your time. And let's start with a little bit of background on yourself and what's your specialty, where you're coming from, and how did you end up with us?
Okay, cool. Panos, first of all, thank you for having me. So yeah, I'm Vladimir, and here in the Middle East, people are calling me Coach Vlad. So I'm coming from Serbia, a small country, but fortunately, athletically developed one. There I finished College of Kinesiology, and of course, to be a good kinesiologist, you need to have some foundation understanding of anatomy, of physiology, of biomechanics, and neurology, because we have more than 600 muscles, and it will be good to know which one are we stimulating and why. That is in domain of anatomy. Regarding physiology, dominantly, I'm speaking about energy systems, which I believe that we're going to develop our story today. Biomechanics is just one big integrative system of all joints and forces that are going to our body. And neurology is the topic that we usually don't touch, but we should, because how our vision system plays a role in the movement. It's important. How our balance system, that we have one in the left ear, one in the right ear, how that plays a role, it's important. And also proprioceptive system is important. Usually in the college, we learn about muscle splinters and muscle parts of proprioceptive system. We learned about Golgi tendon organs, the tendon part, but we didn't learn about how much the skin is important. So if you asked me 4 years ago, what do I think about the big scar on the body? I would say, I don't think anything. I don't care. It's fine. It's healed. But if you ask me today what I think about the scar, and especially if you're asking me with the pain, then I definitely think about it. And in some cases, it's going to be a starting point of our work. So understanding those subjects, that gave me some kind of confidence to work with the clients that have movement related issues, and usually with some pain that is following that movement related issues. That I did for some times in Serbia, and then I had the opportunity to work in Kuwait. When I moved to Kuwait, Kuwait unfortunately has one negative achievement, and they are globally leading country in diabetic cases comparing to number of population. And then when I sit down with myself and talked about it, when I analyze what is happening, I was in a country that had metabolic and has even now metabolic issues, and PNOE was offering metabolic insights and solution. For me, that was just match. And then with my wife, we purchased the unit and started doing metabolic testing in Kuwait. That lasted for 1 year. There we had some interesting cases, some amazing cases. We decreased bunch of biological age, we decreased bunch of kilograms. And I need to say, I'm not a fat loss guy. That is not my niche. But when we do VO2 max work and strength training, and then its consequence to lose weight, I'm fine with that. And then in one moment, we decided that we are ready for our next step, because in Kuwait we were employees and we wanted to start something on our own. Then we moved to Abu Dhabi. Here we had friend Alexa, which is also a co-founder of Posture and Performance team. And then we sit down and we discuss how can we develop some training system that is for longevity, that combines posture, movement, and metabolism. And when we set up the plan, now we have business that is relatively new, and we are operating on 3 different paths of income. So basically our system is based on one-to-one exclusive home visits, because big majority of our clients, they have gyms in their homes, in their community buildings. The second path is we have deal with many gyms across the Abu Dhabi on different locations. So we are offering also a freelance system. And the third path of income is basically we are offering collaboration to other well-established coaches in Abu Dhabi. So when they have clients that are interested to do metabolic testing, they contact us, we go to the field, we do the testing, then we have results. We have a meeting first with the coaches, we talk on coaches' language, and then we sit down with the clients, explaining them, educating them about the problem. And yeah, with that way, we are building our network, and we will keep doing that for some time.
That is a great overview of everything you're doing. I love the last part where you're describing how you can, you've basically been able to go outside the walls of your business and offer lots of services, from what I understand, into a very big variety of different businesses out there. You mentioned in-home services, you mentioned gyms, you mentioned hospitality. It's something that some of our customers in the United States are doing as well, but it looks like you've really taken it to another level. Now, let's focus a little bit more on the actual physiology behind breath analysis and neuromotor connection. We know that breathing is a mechanism, perhaps the most powerful mechanism, physiological mechanism that is also in our control. And what makes it very powerful is its ability to directly influence our nervous system. We talk about that in our reports a lot, and the consultations we do and the education we have, doubling down and double clicking on the concept that, the way our nervous system is wired onto our lungs, with the sympathetic being connected in the upper part and the parasympathetic connected in the lower part, that bidirectional connection effectively allows one to upregulate and downregulate our sympathetic and parasympathetic response depending on how they're breathing. And so breathing can become a very powerful driver of our neurophysiology, our neuroendocrine system, and as a result, our mood and ability to perform. So when it comes to this, sphere of biological influence and adaptations, what have you seen, Vladimir, in terms of case studies of clients, things along the lines of, interventions you've applied and changes you've seen either in PNOY biomarkers or in other biomarkers that you're collecting from other devices?
Okay, so yeah, great question, and we can discuss about this for long periods of time. So basically, one spice that is connecting posture with movement and movement with metabolism, basically one spice that is in between the circle of mentioned thing is oxygen. The oxygen is super important. Why? Because what is metabolism? Metabolism is a system that is making energy from food. In order for that to happen, we need to have presence of oxygen. Movement is just increased demand for energy, meaning increased demand for oxygen. And posture, if we want to have nice up straight posture, then our neck muscles, our spine muscles, our hip muscles, they need energy throughout the whole day. If we have nice amount of oxygen that is available, we can expect all of those systems to function optimally. So when we have our clients that are facing some postural issues or some movement issues, of course, we will do a bunch of movement testing, movement screening. That is all amazing. But now we are starting to incorporate also PNOY testing, active, but most importantly, also resting. So we set up some 5-step testing system, which will give us a better cue. Does my client have enough oxygen available in the resting and active state? So those 5 steps and 5 metrics that we take from PNOY testing, which will be useful for us, is of course VO2 max, if it's possible to do VO2 max testing. In the case that is not possible, we still have 4 metrics from the resting test. And maybe for somebody who doesn't know, the resting test, the easiest test that you can do in your life, you basically lay down, have a mask, and breathe for 10 minutes. And then in that resting test, how are we going to determine, does my client have enough oxygen available? We are watching in the next metric. So we are interested in a resting heart rate. We are interested in a breathing frequency. We are interested in mitochondrial function and ventilation efficiency. Now, what is that? The resting heart rate, it's simple. How much heartbeats we have in a minute in the resting state. And we are here watching for our clients to have from 60 to 75. When they have 80, 85 plus, we are getting suspicious. Something is not optimal in the oxygen flow, maybe. Second thing that we watch is breathing frequency. How many breathing cycles do our clients have in resting state per minute? What is breathing frequency? So one inhale, exhale, that is one breathing cycle. If it's up to 15, we are fine with that. If it's above 15, again, we are getting suspicious. Third metric, of course, mitochondrial function, famous topic, and it's supposed to be famous topic because it is important. How can we see the mitochondrial functions on many ways? But so one thing is, so we have in 1 minute circulation of oxygen, that is, let's say, this value, and in 1 minute circulation of carbon dioxide, which is this value. If the gap is relatively big, that means that we are dominantly using fat, which is healthy environment. If that gap is cut in half, then it's now 50% of the fat usage, 50% of the carb usage for energy production. And here we are starting to be a little bit suspicious because we want to influence that, because we definitely don't want to reach the case where oxygen that is circulating through us in 1 minute is in same level of carbon dioxide. Then we know that our metabolism is most probably not functioning well, and those mitochondria, something is happening. And the last metric that we analyze is ventilation efficiency. Now, ventilation efficiency, what is that? Basically, that metric is analyzing how much carbon dioxide we have in our exhale. And why am I mentioning carbon dioxide when we were speaking about oxygen? Because carbon dioxide is basically a key which will unlock hemoglobin and let that oxygen out. So if we are exhaling too much of carbon dioxide, we are going to see on the testing, in a resting test, that ventilation efficiency is low. That is telling us that they are exhaling too much of the keys. Not enough is staying inside to unlock the hemoglobin and let the oxygen inside of the muscle, to let the oxygen inside of the brain. So those metrics are definitely something that we want to improve with our clients who desire to have better posture, better movement. And yeah, so we are using those metrics.
In this specific topic of movement and posture, what kind of correlation have you seen in terms of the PNOE metrics that you discussed and better posture and movement? In other words, by applying certain interventions that have led to better posture and better movement, how have these interventions have also led to an improvement in some of the PNOE metrics?
So we had what we noticed in our work is when we analyze these metrics that I mentioned, these 5, then we can have a representation of the client that we believe that has enough of available oxygen, and we can have client that we believe doesn't have enough of available oxygen. And why is that important? Because when we give this basically same exercise for the postural development to the client who has enough of oxygen available, those exercises, let's call it, work better on them. They stick for longer, and the effect from exercise is bigger. When we have clients that have disrupt oxygen availability, usually when we give them the exercise, they will feel good on the training session, they will feel good a little bit afterwards, but in the following 2-3 days, those symptoms will return a little bit back. So with them, we are patient. We slowly introduce some work that will increase oxygen availability. And then after 1 month or 2 months, the same exercise that we gave them before, now they have much better effect. And I believe that is a blend that we are using for metabolic testing and our typical postural correction techniques.
I see. I understand. Cool. And in terms of the type of clientele you're providing this combination of services to, how would you describe it? Like, are we talking about athletes? Are we talking about people who want to, who are focusing more on longevity? They're training for life, in other words, as we like to say. What is like the typical persona you're addressing with this service?
Yeah, so let's call that category of normal people. So they are not athletes, so they are normal people like you and me, people ranging from 40 years approximately, plus minus, but let's say from 35 to 50 years. That is our biggest base of the clients. And yeah, with them, basically, our clients are dominantly busy, highly performing individuals. Office work a lot, meetings, stress, disrupts nutritional intake. So when they have a chance to train, then we want to use that precious time and let's improve oxygen availability. Let's improve a little bit posture. Let's improve many things as much as possible we can for that short period of time.
have you seen cases where um, a significant change in posture or ability to move has resulted in a significant improvement in breath metrics? And if yes, can you talk a little bit about that specific case study of the person? Obviously, we don't expect to reveal names, etc., but just give us a little bit of background on the
Mhm.
person. What was the issue with that person? How did that person become a client? What was the issue at hand? What did you test? How did you come up with a prescription? And then what were the positive results that the prescription ended up yielding?
Okay, so fantastic. We have a couple of interesting cases. For the people, just to understand basically a connection, when we have a posture that is compressed, sluggish, we are going to have movement that is limited. When I say movement, I also think about movement of the rib cage. When the movement
Mm-hmm.
of the rib cage is limited, we have something that is called shallow breathing, high breathing frequency. That high breathing frequency is direct message to our brain, hey, I'm in a stress mode. And when we are in the stress mode, stress hormones go a little bit up, and then metabolism goes down. Our oxygen availability goes down, and that is the reason why we often target improving ribcage mobility and postural stuff that you mentioned with them. That is basically connection. We had we had one simple case, one super simple case, and interesting case. One of our clients, she had deviation in her nose. And then we suggested to her to buy a nose strap. And when she put it a nose strap to open up a little bit the nasal cavities, she was wearing that strap for 2 weeks. Every time she is sleeping, before the sleeping, and then when she wakes up, she did some breathing work. And then we repeat the test after 2 weeks. And the results were significantly better.
Mm. Did
Ventilation
that
efficiency.
did that issue did the improved breathing actually improve any postural or movement metrics? Like, did you do any sort of like movement analysis on that person?
With her specifically not. So in her case, the fat burning efficiency was improved. But
Mm-hmm.
what we see when we improve breathing mechanics, we are
Mm-hmm.
often correcting forward head posture.
Mm-hmm.
So forward
Yeah.
head posture it's putting
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stress on the neck, and when we are managing to correct that, then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we saw in many cases the forward head posture goes back.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting to say that. Just to touch upon the point you just made about fixing breathing rate and ultimately improving fat burn efficiency, that is something that we also see quite a bit in the thousands of tests we do every month. People that have perturbed or problematic breathing patterns, as Vladimir is explaining, and as I was explaining earlier, these problematic breathing patterns ultimately upregulate sympathetic response. Sympathetic response is the fight or flight part of the nervous system, which will ultimately lead to a oversecretion of stress hormones like cortisol. It may not be extremely pronounced, but even a mild but constant increase in cortisol is going to have an impact in how much glucose and fat you're burning. More cortisol actually means more glucose consumption because more cortisol signals to the body that you are in a sort of fight or flight mode and you need fast burning fuel, i.e., glucose, in order to support that fight or flight mode. And inevitably, what the cells will end up doing is they're going to partially shut down fat consumption and switch to glucose production because you're constantly signaling to your body through your poor breathing that you're in a state of fight or flight. And so even if you're not, even if it's like purely an artifact that is a consequence of an anatomical issue, in that case, some sort of nasal obstruction. And so we've seen many such cases. Vladimir's case is something that apparently was easier to solve through this, it's like a tape, right? That sort of enlarges your. Yeah,
Basically, simple
yeah.
fix.
I mean, most of you guys have seen it. I've seen it, I've seen a lot of people using these things nowadays, but some people have much more pronounced and acute obstructions in their nasal airways. And in these cases, you sort of have to do some reconstructive surgery, like, fix the deviated septum or something along the lines to fix that issue. But yeah, Vladimir, just wanted to provide a little bit of context for some of the listeners that may not be as familiar with the PNOE metrics. But yeah, go ahead. Like, would love to hear another case study if you have one.
Yeah, so I will connect with the things that you started speaking about, sympathetic reaction. When we have disrupt breathing and chest breathing and high frequency breathing, yeah, that is sending, as you said, direct message to the central nervous system, and that we are in that stress mode. And because we deal with the clients that are facing pain, that stress mode, so basically metabolism and oxygen consumption, can influence also a pain levels that somebody is experiencing. Because high stress mode, low oxygen availability is just elevating threat levels. When threat levels are high, if you have two same persons with same pain source, if one has a relatively lower threat levels, he maybe will not experience the same amount of pain as a person who has a high threat levels. So when we are treating people, and let's say that they have some knee issues, okay, of course that we are going to test the knee, test the ankle, test the hip, try to correct the biomechanics around it, but also we will try to decrease those threat levels. And the threat level can be elevated by poor breathing, which we can see from the test. It can be elevated by sympathetic reaction, which we can also see by the test. So we are blending once again metabolism insights and trying to manipulate them also with a movement structure, because we saw that targeting many different fields, little bit vision system, little bit way of breathing, little bit way of eating, way of moving, gives us much better effect than just focusing on let's do the best movement that we can. Movement is fine. We need to focus our thoughts on that, but we aim to improve more different segments, which we saw that it's giving us a better outcome.
No, that's super interesting. Super interesting. So what are the next steps in terms of additional biometric testing you may be interested in adding? Do you have anything else in the works? Do you have specific expansion plans in terms of services or, other fields that you're looking to work on?
Definitely, we have some thoughts on that. Right now, because we are, as I mentioned, we have movement screens, we have strength test screening, we have metabolic screening. For now, it's a lot of screening, and it's enough to educate our clients that will build up commitment. So we are now trying to be as best as we can in the areas that we are currently doing, but definitely one of the things that we want to do a further steps is platform analysis for the force production, and then that is next step for us, because then we can see in depth the force production in between left side of the body, right side of the body, and then I believe that we are going to have a perfect match of biomechanics and physiology blending in one system.
And perhaps many of you know it, but we're very soon launching our new platform that effectively allows you to integrate all of the biomarkers you're collecting from multiple different sources into one dashboard. And right now, in its current format, this dashboard supports integration with blood testing, urine, stool, saliva, body composition, and obviously breath analysis, and so urine as well. I think in the in one of the immediate future versions, we're gonna have force plate metrics added to that. I'm not sure if, Vladimir, you were the one who specifically requested that, but I think we had some customers specifically asking for force plate metrics. Maybe it was you, but
we had some discussion. With the support team.
But 100%, I think it's going to be extremely interesting to also be able to juxtapose mechanical movement and power output data along with all of the other biochemical biomarkers and breath biomarkers that you can already visualize there. As you said, you will truly be able to get a comprehensive view of, neurological and biological and whatever other physiology you're examining. Cool. Vladimir, any other thoughts, things that you would like to share with the audience, tips, suggestions, or just anything?
So, tip suggestion: we need to start breathing better, definitely, and which, because in the past, I don't know how many minutes, basically our conversation is going around breathing and oxygen, and it is super important because when we breathe, basically we had more than 20,000 breaths per day, meaning that is more than 20,000 some type of movements per day. Our rib cage is moving, our organs is moving, everything is moving. So we want to be sure that we have proper breathing mechanics. And what is proper breathing mechanics? Expanding our abdomen 360 degrees. So when somebody says belly breathing, I say, fine, belly breathing is okay, but belly breathing is 25% of the story. When you inhale, we need to expand the belly, that's fine, but we also need to expand the side ribs, and we also need to expand the back side of the rib cage. Now, the backside of the rib cage is interesting because, Panos, trust me, the Q inhale in your kidneys help a lot of people to treat the low back pain situation. Because when you inhale in the kidneys, that just means that you are facilitating your diaphragm, the main muscle for breathing, as it is designed to. Because our diaphragm, when we inhale, is going 2 centimeters down, and when we exhale, is going 2 centimeters up. When you calculate that with 20,000 times per day, that is a lot of movement. A lot of movement for our liver, a lot of movement for our kidneys, for our guts, and also a lot of movement for lymphatic system. So by improving our breathing, we will not just improve our stability of the body and posture, but we will also improve the detoxing part of breathing. Because when you inhale, when you make nice intra-abdominal pressure, you are compressing the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is the system that takes out metabolic waste, that takes out inflammation, and it's cleaning it. So when you breathe properly, you're also detoxing your body in a natural way. And regarding the posture, when you have the capacity to inhale in the kidneys, that is our natural way using intra-abdominal pressure to decompress the low back. And when the decompression happens, even if it's small, those muscles send, and ligaments and tendons, they send information to the brain, hey, I have movement here. When that happens, stress level goes down, pain sensation goes down, and then we can treat cleaning of the body and movement of the body in same movement by just optimizing the way how we breathe. And it's smart thing to do because, as we mentioned, we have more than 20,000 breaths per day.
Awesome. That is a very interesting, actually one of the best descriptions of how correct breathing, first of all, what correct breathing means. I think I've never heard of such a great description of all the different elements that go into correct breathing. And then secondly, a description of why correct breathing is actually so important for many different areas of physiology. I truly appreciate that. We'll make sure we map that out in some sort of blog post and make sure we mention you as well. I think this is information that needs to be as eloquently presented in the public domain as you just did. Now, we do have one question about other case studies. I think, Vladimir, there's a lot of interesting stuff you guys are working on, and perhaps my team will reach out and try to tabulate all of the information you've gathered from case studies and success stories, and maybe put together like an op-ed or something that people can refer to in the future. So I actually included a link on the chat for anyone who wants to connect with us and learn more information, either about Vladimir's case or about PNOE in general and how we can help your business. It's the meeting link I just posted a few minutes ago on the webinar chat. You can use that to schedule a call with one of our experts. Besides that, Vladimir, I just wanted to thank you for joining me here today and sharing your thoughts and your experience and all your lovely knowledge you have around breathing and how it is such an important thing for our overall health. So thank you, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Amazing, Panos. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Bye.